Hey folks, all right, well, we got ourselves another inverter. Why am I doing this again with a SunGoldPower 4,000 watt inverter? Well, in my last video, I noticed some shipping damage to the last inverter. And I didn't think it caused a problem for me. I installed the inverter worked fine, everything was fine. But I hadn't run it or been in a position where I noticed it running when it was hotter, when it was warmer, when it was getting pushed. So this summer, I was out putting in the battery charge controller, and when I was working on that battery charge controller, I put my hand on top of the inverter and it was hot. Ooh, man, this guy is hot, folks. That fan is not running. I just touched this thing and it is hot. 10% would be 400, so we're putting out about 600 watts. It should not be that hot. That is crazy hot, folks. And I don't hear the fan running. That's hot enough right there. Oof, that is crazy hot. And this back room was 75 degrees. It wasn't fry an egg hot, but it was hot. It was over 120 degrees on top of the inverter. It shouldn't be that hot. So I thought, whoa, wait a minute here. What the heck is going on? So I checked the fan and the fan wasn't running. And I did all kinds of things that day. I tried different things to see what would happen. I was literally charging my Agritech Sonic 1200. I was charging that power station. That's enough wattage coming through that inverter that the fan should really be coming on. And it wasn't, wouldn't come on. I even ran the generator, the fan did not come on. And the back room, it was pretty warm. It was about 75 degrees. So I put my little thermostat that I use. I've got one of those electronic, indoor, outdoor thermostats, and I put that on the inverter, and that's when it was showing 120 degrees at that point, which was quite a bit after I initially noticed that it was getting hot. And I actually left the door to the back room open all day and well into the evening to try and cool the room down, because the room was about 75, but it was up to 88, 89 degrees on top of the inverter after things had cooled down. So I'm cooling the room down and getting as much cool air into that room as I could in the evening when it dropped down into the 60s, and it was still reading 88, 89 degrees on top of the inverter. And by the morning, when it was in the 50s outside, now I did put the door on back there, but I turned the heat off. There was no heat or anything else. It was still 83 degrees on top of the inverter. Well, that's too hot. The fan should have been coming on, and it wasn't. So I reached out to SunGoldPower, and they were gracious enough to agree to send me another new SunGoldPower inverter to replace that one. Because, and let's be honest, it's not their fault. The damage that was on that inverter was clearly from shipping, to me anyway. When you look at it, and you could see it in the video, it looks like the forks of a forklift dented the side of that inverter, just ever so slightly, maybe 1/8 of an inch. Could that have damaged the circuit board that controls the fan? Maybe. I don't know. But what I do know is the fan would not come on. In fact, I bought a 120 volt, 120 millimeter fan that you saw plugged into that inverter to push air through it and cool it down. And it's been running cool. But guess what? It's 52, 53 degrees out here. It's August. And it shouldn't be. And we just heard on the radio they're blaming a weather front coming out of the Gulf of Alaska. In fact, they said that we had snow in the mountains, and that we hadn't had snow in the mountains in Washington State. And boy, this knife needs to be sharpened, since 2003. So it's been a while since we've actually had snow in the mountains, in August, that is. Of course, I'm kind of chuckling, saying, well, yeah, I mean, weather does what weather does. We think we've had the answer. They're going to tell you that they know what the weather's going to do in 100 years when they can't tell you what it's going to do tomorrow. But in any case, it's cool out, so that's running nice and cool right now. However, here's the crazy part. I went back there, I'm looking at what I'm going to need to do to replace it with this one, and I'm thinking to myself, I should run that test again. I should kick the generator on and see what happens. I kicked on the generator, the fan came on. But it wasn't working. I'm not going to go through what's in this box. I've done that already. But what I will do is inspect this one and just see, was it damaged at all? You know, is there any issue with this one? Was there any damage in shipping or anything else? If not, then we will install it and then make sure that it works and that the fan comes on and all that good stuff. So I think I'll do this like I did last time. And if you're doing any of these, folks, and you're doing it alone, there is a way to make this work. And this is how you do it. Of course, you can always have your buddy come over and help you, but there is a way to do this, even if you don't have a buddy. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So you take this and fold it back like that. And then slide this over like so. Fold this whole unit back like so. And then take it, slide it over, and pull the box off. And have the box to your buddy. That just makes it a little bit easier to get that off. I'm not going to use all of the new stuff here. I'm going to use all of the original except the inverter itself. So I will return everything to SunGoldPower. We will be checking this out, folks. We want to make sure that there is no damage on this guy before we go ahead and install it. And we are going to want to put everything back in the box. Look at that, 2 points. I will tell you, these heavy inverters, you can buy cheap inverters, folks. You can absolutely buy a $200 inverter. These run, I think they're $8.99 around that now, so don't quote me on that. I could drop a link down below for you to check them out, but they run about $900. These inverters are tough inverters. I ran my last one for 11 years, and truthfully, I didn't have to replace it. I did because I wanted LiFePO 4 settings, but if I didn't run LiFePO 4s, it'd be fine. And actually, in truth, I could have run it the way it was. I just had to tweak the settings on it so that it would absolutely run the way it's supposed to. So, all right, first thing we do is take a look at this and make sure there are no dents. Oh man, right there, look at that. Gosh, dang it. I don't know, folks. The last one had problems. That dent is a good 1/8 of an inch deep. Oh, there's another one right here. That's a good solid dent too. So yeah, this whole side's caved in a little bit. Folks, I don't know. I don't know if I want to put this in. I don't know if you can see this very well, but that is absolutely dented, bent. And I'm not interested in putting in an inverter that could be damaged. I'm just not interested in that. Well, I'm going to send this to SunGoldPower. I'm not going to install this inverter. This inverter is damaged. The one I have back there now, I've got a 120 volt fan blowing on it whenever it's running, and it's keeping it cool. I'm not going to install this. This one's actually dented worse than the one that I have in the back there. So it's dented, it's bowed. That to me,
I mean, that's something hard hit.
Something hit that hard. I'm not putting that in. All right, let's get the plastic back on it. We'll put it back in the box. Well, that was a failure. It's not working out, folks. I guess FedEx, you're a little too rough with boxes. And these inverters are tough, but man, oh man, that's just crazy. And that's the second SunGoldPower inverter I've gotten that has had damage done to it. And, you know, I'll tell you what, if you look at this guy, there's no damage on this side, and there's no damage on that side, there's no damage on top. This inverter was in use for 11 years. This one does still work. So if it isn't that it doesn't work, it seems to work fine, other than the fan wasn't coming on. But you know what? I have a feeling that because I've been forcing air through the inverter with this 120 millimeter fan right here, I have a feeling that it actually caused the internal fan to start spinning, and that may be the reason that works. So I put this 120 millimeter fan here. It blows the air right into this guy. Nicely too, actually. All right, I got Tim buttoning things up for me there. So here's my assessment, folks. I think that something was going on because of the damage, the dent in the side of that inverter. I think that that may have caused some issue. Maybe the fan was stuck just a bit. And I've seen that before where a fan, if it's just barely stuck, it might not turn. Especially fans that have any kind of protection built into them. For now, we'll come back to you. I intend to get that door in the back room still installed. The weather's supposed to be better tomorrow. So I think I'm going to be a fair weather carpenter and call it quits for now. But we won't be installing that new inverter. Too much damage. I'm not gonna carry a 50-pound inverter into the back room, and I don't know how much they weigh, 50, 60 pounds. They're heavy. Maybe it's only 40 pounds and I'm getting old. But I'm not gonna carry one back there and plug it in and do all that wiring and then find out that it doesn't work. I'm just not gonna bother. I've already got one dented inverter. So FedEx, you're on my crap list. UPS, FedEx, somebody has dented the side of this thing just like they did the other one. I think that they just don't care about heavy stuff being shipped anymore. And I'll give you this warning. If you buy a high quality item like this, $1,000 inverter, pull out the box, open the box up when it's received. And if you see damage on it, don't even accept it. Just call them up and say, nope, I want you to get FedEx right back here and they can ship this back. So bear that in mind, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell SunGoldPower I'm not paying to ship this back. FedEx damaged it, so just send it back. I'll take my chances with the one I've got and move on. So that's all I got for you now. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll drop another video here for you to check out. Y'all have a great day. The old Jarhead out on this rainy Saturday.